Welcome to Dan Parenting, your English-speaking parenting podcast from Amsterdam. We are your hosts, Maren
and Eva.
And today we will be talking about exercising in the first trimester. So let me just roll the ball to you, literally. So what's your story with exercising and pregnancy, Eva?
Not much.
Okay.
Short and sweet. No, the truth was back then I had actually inbuilt this behavior mechanism for me. I know this is going to sound really weird, but I actually watched TV only in the gym back then. So I used to go to the gym 5 nights a week because that's the only place I allowed myself to watch TV.
Okay, so that's like a good reframing of a unhealthy habit.
That was the way I did it. So when I found out I was pregnant, because I got onto the elliptical machines, and honestly, once I found out I was pregnant, when I went to the gym, I was kind of like, well, I got to be healthy, and they say you got to exercise, but not too much and not too little. And I remember just being on the machine going, oh, I can't go hell for leather here to burn 500 calories in my usual session now. And I was like, what do I do? And all I remember was looking at the people around me, like the personal trainers or whoever. And I was thinking, I don't want to tell them I'm pregnant. I mean, my Verloskundige doesn't even know yet. I haven't even contacted them. So it was things like that was in my head kind of going, oh, I don't know. And I just remember getting on it, doing a super light, like maybe 10, 15 minute workout. And I went home. And I think I was probably like 7 weeks pregnant then, maybe 6. Yeah. And I think I went back once on a treadmill, and then I just was like, and then also actually COVID kicked in. So I wasn't going back in.
Thinking back, there was a lot of in my head of don't do this, don't do that. There was a lot of don'ts. There was never any, this is how you do it. That's what you can do. This is good. And this is going to be helpful. Or this is preparing you. There was just a lot of no, don't in my head when it came to exercising.
Yeah. And in my head, it was like, protect the baby.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't know what I need to protect. I don't know how to protect it, but all I was thinking of was like, don't jump up and down on a trampoline.
Yeah. My approach was, I was already active before I got pregnant. So for me, I just felt like I'm just going to continue. And because I knew I wanted to get pregnant, I kind of adapted my workouts previously, like before my pregnancy, so I could have a more seamless transition into it. So I already started with swimming and a little bit of stretching and these kind of exercises where I didn't know because I didn't have a personal trainer. I just thought swimming is going to be good. Swimming is not going to hurt the baby because there's not going to be any weight on anything. I'm just going to be in the water. So I did water aerobics and with a bunch of 70-year-olds. I was the youngest person there, which was great. So I didn't have any pressure to perform. But yeah, that's what my approach was previously to becoming pregnant, kind of thinking of, is this something that I can continue when being pregnant, what I'm doing? I did stop. I did also do jumping fitness. I did stop that, of course, but the swimming I had already established when then becoming pregnant.
Yeah. Today's topic is about exercising in the first trimester, and we just wanted to speak to the professionals to give you guys, the sound knowledge from these professionals to kind of shed light on maybe what you can do, what you can't do, and just kind of give you the honest opinion, as it were, and the truth from them. You don't need to go around asking people, what did you do, because one thing's for sure, we're very all unique and our bodies are very unique too. So if in doubt, always speak to a personal trainer, right?
Yeah. And one thing that we also tried to cover in this episode was 2 different views on exercising and 2 different angles of exercising. So the first person we brought in is Kasia. She is a trained yoga teacher, and she also runs the Mamamoon retreats, which this is how I actually got to know her, because I went on a retreat that was run by her and it was beautiful. And she's really such a warm and welcoming and just very calming person that I thought she would be great to talk about yoga during pregnancy. And she was actually the person I did my first Zoom yoga during the pandemic, because she was one of the first ones offering this in Amsterdam. And that's when I had moved then to Amsterdam permanently. Was looking for something to do while being in lockdown. And she then started these online yoga classes. And I remember being in my living room and doing pregnancy yoga with her. And that was great. So I always felt that she paid a lot of attention to the needs, even though it was in a group setting, but she really made sure everyone was seen and she could also see everyone and address everyone. So that's why I thought it's good to bring her on to share a little bit her experience and her advice, especially when it comes to yoga in the first trimester. And then the second person we brought in is Rianne. She is a personal trainer, more focused on, I'd say, active exercise or fitness exercise more. You, Eva, actually found her, right?
Yeah, she was actually a name that was coming up a few times when people were asking about, oh, what do you do? Like, you're pregnant. And like, obviously our international community here in Amsterdam or the Netherlands, like we really trust each other here. We want a word of mouth and that's what we kind of go on. And so she does a group coaching for pregnancy and people had really complimented it and they kind of, felt safe and that they were, it was a very intimate group. And she also has her own business called SheCoaching where she's really done quite a lot of studies. And that was the thing that I was thinking, like, okay, this girl knows her stuff. I wanted to get her in because she's been recommended by other international moms. And yeah, she's done the research.
That's the two people that we have brought on for this episode. We hope you will enjoy their view on exercising in the first trimester.
So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Kasia. Hi, Kasia.
Hi, hello, good morning.
Good morning. So yeah, I think first let's get some background about you and what you've been up to and what you're doing now.
Well, my name is Kasia. I live in Amsterdam, mom of two, teaching prenatal yoga, hypnobirthing, spinning babies. Very passionate about pregnancy, about motherhood, about making it a little bit easier. So also was very happy and pleased when I saw the idea of your podcast and feeling honored to be part of it.
So can you tell us a little bit more about when you do prenatal and postnatal yoga, when we're looking at the entirety of yoga in itself? This episode is specifically for the first trimester. Can you give us some information about when I find out I'm pregnant, it's like, oh, I got to start doing yoga, I think. So first trimester, tell us all about yoga in the first trimester.
Well, in short, we don't do it.
There you go. Thank you very much.
And everyone who's been wondering if they should start and didn't have the right energy, you're off the hook. You don't need to start now.
Indeed. I mean, it always, when you think about it for pregnancy, usually, the answer is always, it depends, right? So depends what was your history with yoga before. It depends what was your history also with exercise, with any daily routine that you had before. For the group classes, we always invite students for the second trimester. And that's for a couple of reasons, just to keep it safe, so that around week 14, the placenta should be already nicely established. So it's kind of protecting the little one. And then it's, the risk of the miscarriage simply is, much lower. But then it's also safe to join the group classes where a teacher may not have such a great amount of time to give attention to everyone. Right? In the first trimester, if you do have your yoga practice, it may feel horrible to stop altogether because it's been probably a habit that you are establishing for some time and then suddenly like, okay, so fine, I'm off the hook. But then what am I going to do with all this time? And then also if you lose it, then how do I come back to it? Right. So that's, that would be also a little bit of a shame. So the good news is that, again, if you have your practice, if you are familiar with a body, if you are able to give yourself adjustments or maybe work with your ego and if you're not sure, then find somebody who's going to work in one-on-one setting with you, then of course you can continue. So it's can be actually quite a nice peace of mind. There are some golden rules of the exercises to avoid. And obviously we don't jump. So if you're an Ashtanga practitioner, then stop jumping. We don't do any closed, deep twists or any deep forward bends because those are very much encouraging detox. And at this stage, your body doesn't know if it's detoxing an embryo or if it's detoxing toxins. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to risk it, of course. And you could potentially practice some simple exercises, also looking a little bit at the level of energy that you have. So if you feel like all of it is a little bit complicated, then indeed park it and then maybe replace your routine that you had till now with something else. You can do meditation, you can do breathing exercise, which is super nice for the times when we are maybe anxious because everything is new and we don't know what to do and everybody has an opinion about everything we do. kind of sitting down and using that time to actually do a meditation or maybe a breathing exercise, which at the same time could be a breathing that you use during labor. You are giving yourself a tremendous favor because you are starting a habit that can help you when you are giving birth so that it comes naturally. You are helping yourself at this moment because it addresses the possible pains you may have, and you keep that routine going. So you're not losing the time. So by the time you're in the second trimester and you can actually jump into that yoga class again, it's not like, oh shoot, like now I started using that time for something else and now I have to start again to setting up that habit of being there, of showing up, of putting on the yoga pants. So it's again, the answer is it depends, but there's definitely, the room to maneuver.
Yeah, but I think it's a good thing what you said, that still keeping this time for yourself, because like you said, it's so hard to establish this time, and then you filled it with this meaningful exercise, and then it's so quick that and now I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. And then it's so hard to maneuver all this back to shovel out these time slots again. Yeah. So I think this is so helpful that you say this. And I had no idea but it makes so much sense with the detox, because we all talk about yoga and how we want to detox our mind and our body. And then, the body doesn't know. So that was very interesting. And when you hear it, it makes so much sense, but I would have never made this conclusion.
Yeah. And at that stage with the first trimester, simply your belly cannot stop you yet. So when the belly grows bigger, it's simply stopping you, the forward bend, for example. But at this stage, you don't really feel it that much. The things which are actually really great if you start educating yourself what serves you from early in pregnancy, it's a lot about bringing balance and alignment in the body, which comes naturally when you do a yoga practice, because in the prenatal yoga, everything is actually designed in a way to serve you, to support you, and to make it easier for you when you give birth and for the recovery. But also yoga as such is a lot about balance, about alignment, about lengthening the muscles. And those things you also can do in the first trimester if you're a little bit aware. The fact that we should sit straight, so not putting, one leg above the other. Also, when you stand, that we are not bending one knee, so you keep, everything straight. And all being aware of that, about the posture, it's not just saving yourself a lower back pain in the future, but it's actually helping again later on with smoother birth, create space for the baby to go into the most optimal position. And by keeping that posture, you can actually influence it as well. So it's first, you kind of create that in the first trimester. You can create a bit of the basis. You will benefit in the second and the third trimester, and then also during birth. So it's a little bit more from spinning babies, but spinning babies is quite closely linked to yoga. So a lot of practices in spinning babies, they are also underpinned with yoga. But because, we also, not everybody has to step on the mat, which is fine. But then go for a walk. When you walk, when you go, I always tell students who have dogs that's perfect. They have to walk the dog. That half an hour a day, it's actually, it's really great for you. Also, if you sit straight, you can also put one feet on top of the knee. So it's kind of like a hip opener. And then just remember to do it on both sides. So that can be a replacement of the typical kind of knee over knee, which we have a tendency to do. And by doing this, you're just sitting, you're working, you're having dinner or lunch with someone, coffee, and you're actually again doing a favor to yourself to prepare the body, to create that openness in the hips, to lengthen the muscles, and to create a habit of like a natural posture. Which again, it's something that maybe we think okay, we have 9 months to go. Why would I care? The body takes some time to adapt as well. So
Yeah, so there is quite some stuff that you can do now that I'm hearing it. It's just being aware. And I think this could be maybe a great gift, giving someone a private one-on-one yoga lesson for this first trimester, because then someone like you, a yoga teacher, can say, okay, these are the things you can practice for the next 3 months, or this is the thing that you can do. And we will all be experts in Shavasana. So you can become an expert in it.
My favorite position.
So when I teach prenatal classes, I always do like a mini hypnobirthing script in Shavasana. And that's the other thing that you can also start incorporating, again, if early on pregnancy. So instead of just sitting there or, doing nothing or listening to music, put on hypnobirthing audio relaxation, and then closing your eyes and drifting with it. And then without knowing, you are basically programming yourself to relax to that script, to that voice. Again, if you start in the first trimester, you give yourself all those months to, it just works better. So there's so many things you can do, and it starts with awareness. It starts with just educating maybe yourself. I know that I also remember from myself that when I got pregnant, of course, you are curious and you Google and you search, and then you're overwhelmed because it's too much. Everybody, shares a different opinion, and here they say yes, and then they say no, and so, okay, let me just cloud it, and, whatever. So we all, I think, have this kind of urge to search and be curious, but at the same time, it's just too much.
That's for sure.
Yes. And it's also good to hear that even someone with your background and your knowledge still gets overwhelmed with all the information, all the different opinions, all the different things that people say. So no one is alone out there who feels so overwhelmed by this, and you go down this freaking hole, and then you end up with more questions. That's what I always end up after typing a question.
Or you end up in Shavasana on the ground if you've just given up in general.
That's also it's perfect. Shavasana is good. You're tired, you rest. That's your body tells you. So it's all good.
But it's great to hear that what you said, that taking the first trimester to really establish this base of breathing and maybe some hip opening and stretching that will prepare you for all the things to come, and for of course, the big event, then the birth, and then after. So there is this time, and I think this is what we forget sometimes. We see always the result. Oh, at the end, we're in this class, we're doing this, but the result needs the base to grow. So this can then be a good mindful time to really go back to the basics of yoga and breathing and mindfulness and connecting with yourself and connecting with maybe even the fear and anxiety and addressing it, and maybe go on a search for what are the emotions actually, like starting to listen to yourself, and then take this further that you can address it in another setting or with another practice or something. I think this is a great tip, really coming back to the basics and checking, is my house built on a good foundation?
Yeah. And also just be easy on yourself, because it's, some of us, we have first trimester, which, you don't really feel the difference. Some of us have it really heavy. So also don't make it too tough. If you're in the second group and you're just continuously tired and the nausea is just exhausting and anxiety is creeping in, make it also for yourself. Don't make it too difficult. So if you have energies to sit down and do this breathing, do it, because it's made to help us, and it can also help you with a lot of the pregnancy pains or to avoid some. But if not, if the only thing you feel like, is falling asleep on the couch, that's fine.
Savasana away.
Exactly.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I mean, from what I got, it's like, okay, no yoga, full stop. But you also have so many options and tools to start building a foundation for when you do want to go back to yoga or start pregnancy yoga.
And it's about the group classes, huh?
Yeah, the group classes. Yeah.
About the group classes are most of us joining, not just because they are affordable or they are around the corner, but also the beauty of being in a group class is that you meet other mamas to be. That's super helpful on so many levels. I see connections being created in the class, and really it's just my favorite classes, because women, when they are pregnant, they're just honest, Like they just say it as it is.
Yeah, they're too tired.
Exactly what you feel. And then you're like, oh, shit, I'm normal. You can say it out loud. So absolutely, yes. Just again, being a little bit more on that safe side when it comes to the first trimester. Yeah, better safe than sorry in this case. But if you are super eager, there are definitely things that you can replace it with. Yeah, and they will be super beneficial, not just for when the baby comes, but for you feeling better today.
Exactly. So we will be coming back to Kasia, because we'll be coming back to actually discuss when you can do yoga, which is from week 14, as she mentioned. And until then, Kasia, we will be back to chat to you then about second and third trimester prenatal yoga.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So, for those of us who are not so much into yoga or the idea of sitting on a mat, tranquil, surrounded by peaceful-minded women, once we go back through our shopping lists and our mind wanders off, and then the class is over, and well, it wasn't so relaxing as we thought. Yeah, so for everyone who's not into this kind of workout, but more into a more active, sweating, breathtaking, more workout kind of style, we have Rianne here from SheCoaching, and we're gonna chat to her about a more active workout that pregnant women and moms to be might pick up or continue with their workout schedules. She will tell us a little bit about how active moms can adapt their workout routines and about the safety topic. So we will dive right into. So hi, Rianne, and tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the whole world of pregnancy and postpartum fitness.
Yes, hi. First, my name is Rianne, if you're Dutch. My background, I'm 38 years old and I'm born and raised in Amsterdam, so I'm a local. And I been in the fitness world for more than 12 years now. I started as a fitness trainer and worked my way up to a fitness manager of a big gym in Amsterdam, and decided to go on to personal training and did a lot of group classes, still teach group classes. And after I became a personal trainer, I did a nutritionist, so I'm also a nutritionist. And then I specialized 3 years ago in pre and postnatal training. So, and once I begin with that, study, you can say, I found out how much you need to know about that. Mm-hmm. And that it's not just like, you just feel your body and see how it goes. And that's it, which most people do when they work out. And once I began with studies, I'm now on my 5th study, and they're all like at least half a year or longer. And they dive really deep into the theory and the physical stuff, anatomy, etc. So now I know how much you need to know to be working with pre and postnatal women, and how important it is to move. So now it's basically my main source of income, helping pre and postnatal women. And I'm also an experienced, I don't know how you say it in English, but I have a daughter of 14 months old, and I had, around everything you can get around pregnancy, but also with birth of my daughter, it was really rough. Yeah. So I know a good deal how it is to be fit and go to a postpartum body and adjustments. So that's a little bit of my background.
So you're your own best testimonial for everything, I guess, right?
Yeah, which also is something you have to watch out for, because everybody is different. So what I go through doesn't necessarily have to be something that somebody else goes through, or even if we are at the same fitness level, even if it's the same woman who have a woman who has a pregnancy can be totally different, and the postpartum body can totally different too. So sometimes I have to watch out that I'm not like copy pasting something that worked for me.
How can active moms adapt their previous workout schedule when they find out they're pregnant?
Well, of course, in the first, let's say maybe 4 weeks, you don't even know you're pregnant, or some women maybe do because they are planning a pregnancy, but some may not notice right away. So those 4 weeks you will not have to adjust anything, because probably you won't even know. But as soon as you get symptoms, you can see it that way. As soon as you get symptoms, then most women also want to make adjustments. We all know the way women can feel, even if you've never been pregnant, you know of sickness, the morning sickness. It's called morning sickness, but it can last, unfortunately,
all day,
the whole day, all day, every day. But also the extreme tiredness you've never heard of or experienced before. You think you were tired, but you have no idea. So you will want to adjust, or don't even think about working out because you're so tired and so nauseous. So that's one. Adjust to really how you feel. I know it's contrary on what I said before, like you have to work out how you feel. No, but you will, if you feel really nauseous, you can imagine that it's not really good to even push yourself. Sometimes it can help to move, not work out really, but move your body with the nausea. So even if you really, really, really don't feel like it, try to do some movements like squats or take a walk or even do mobilization exercises, it can help with the nausea. So it doesn't say it always does, but sometimes it can. And in your first trimester, you really want to focus on that. So are you extremely tired? Then make sure you don't push yourself. You can almost do everything you normally do, but take things into consideration that you don't want to do HIIT classes because overheating can be damaging for an embryo. So you really don't want to overheat. Doesn't mean that you cannot do cardio or like do a spinning class, but just take it on a level where you can still speak. And it can be like this if you have that,
Yeah.
That's the kind of reference, like around 70 or 80% of your maximum heart rate, or you can use a watch if you have that heart monitor around that level, and not be like to the extreme. I would not really prefer boxing or squat jumps, things like that. That's not because it's dangerous for the baby, but still for you, your body is changing. You're having a hormone that's called relaxin. And we're really not sure if that's the cause of everything, but it will get your body to get weaker. And I really mean in literal way, weaker. It's not that you are not having strength anymore, but it's more your tissue becomes weak, soft. So it can give space to the baby, and that starts almost right away. So you can imagine you don't want to put force on like your ligaments, your shoulders, hips, etc. For example, if you do yoga or strength training, don't go to your full range of motion, but keep it a little bit up there just to be safe. Again, everybody is different, so maybe somebody can, maybe somebody can't, but do you want to risk it? That's main goals you want to look out for. Don't overheat, don't push your body when you already are nauseous and tired and don't want to move, and keep the range of motion less than you are used to.
Okay, and for those of us who weren't actually active before getting pregnant, I guess is the only way to put it, what would you recommend as a way for them to kind of just enter in and start building up a healthy routine, as it were, going into pregnancy?
Yeah, I would really focus on strength training, leave cardio a little bit behind, because when you do strength training, you also are doing a little bit of cardio, because if you move big muscles, like for example the legs, your heart needs to pump oxygen towards the muscles. So you will feel, if you do squats or lunges, that you're out of breath. That's because your body, your heart has to work really hard. If you are not used to cardio, I would not advise to start running when you get pregnant. Leave that for after baby, and then for like half a year after you had the baby, and then see if you want to start things like that. Bicycle training is still okay. So you can maybe, for example, do a spinning class, but let everybody know like, hey, I'm pregnant, so I will start on a low level, not pushing yourself, but you can do those kind of training. Swimming is really good also for cardio. And strength training is the main thing you want to do when you're pregnant and when you're postpartum. So also in the first trimester, find someone who can train with you, a licensed trainer, or find group classes that focus on strength training.
For pregnant women?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, how are you tailoring these workouts? So if someone's come to one of your classes, you're going to be in a group setting. How are you tailoring these classes for pregnant women? Like, what's the difference between pregnancy versus any other time?
Yeah, well, in the first trimester, not so much. You can still do a lot of things the same way you did before you were pregnant. But what we do when we do group classes, we tailor them. We focus on exercises that really are helpful during pregnancy. So we focus on upper body, so your shoulders, your back, your neck, your core. I know a lot of people think that you cannot train your stomach or your abs anymore when you are pregnant. That's false. You do have to train your core, but you have to tailor them. And we do that by focus on the breath. How do you breathe? I know it sounds ridiculous because everybody can breathe, but believe me, there's a difference between breathing when you're pregnant and when you're not. So we focus on that. We focus on how to generate power inside the core. So how can you manage the abdominal pressure you create? And like I said, we focus on muscles that really help in pregnancy. So your upper back, your shoulders, your neck, and glutes as well, because those will get really rough and hard during pregnancy, but also postpartum, carrying your child all the time.
Oh yes.
No,
They're
that
not getting
one.
lighter. That's
No,
one sure
mine is
thing.
almost 12 kilos now, so I feel it.
don't
Crazy,
need to
right?
go
When
to
you
the gym.
think, when you think about this, you're like, if someone would say to you, well, pick up a 12-kilo dumbbell, you would be like,
And walk
are you,
around with it
and walk around with
all
it,
day.
and like one hand maybe, and then a shopping bag, you would be like, are you out of
And
your
a
mind?
moving,
Yes, a
12
moving,
kilo
exactly. Yeah,
dumbbell.
a moving
It's
dumbbell.
not, yeah. So
Yes.
that's and that's also again also a reference to a myth that's there, like, hey, you cannot carry anything higher than 5 kilos. If you have another child, how are you gonna do it? If you have children close to each other, so with maybe 1 year in between, so you have one under 2 and another one on the way, and you cannot carry your child. How are you gonna do that? If you're gonna carry groceries, that's ridiculous. You need to learn how you can carry and get your body strong so you can carry those weights.
Yeah. I guess this is such a good reminder what you said. We hear all these things, but then the reality of life is, yes, you have another child. And like you said, you're not going to say to your 1-year-old, oh, I can't pick you up anymore because I'm not allowed to carry more than 5 kilos. So that's just, sometimes we have to go back to reality and be like, okay, what does this actually mean in real life? How does this translate to this? So that's a good reminder. Yeah.
Can I ask about, like, when we talk about, when don't lift in your back, always lifting your legs. Is that something that we should also be focusing on in training as well, or?
Yeah, you see that most of the times injuries or pains come from daily life and not from training, because we are really focused when we train. So when you pick up your child, you probably will not be going through your legs with a straight back, going down and squatting up your child. Of course, it's good to think about it and think about your posture during the day. Like, okay, shoulders back, tighten the core, and think about it as much as you can. But in reality, we know we are like here because your child just fell asleep that way, and if you move, you're afraid to wake it up, so you will stay in this forever. The same with pregnancy. We like to hang in the shoulders, put our hips to the front, so of course it's good to focus on that, but the most important thing is that you get your body strong. So even in weird positions or not good ways to lift, you are still capable of doing that. So your body is strong enough to go into those weird positions and pick something up. So it will not snap when you do that. And you do that by training in the good way and get it nice and strong.
Yeah, I think this is so important what you said. Exactly. When we're in the gym, then we know we're going to do this movement. So we kind of prepare for it, and it's always going to be the perfect way of doing it. But then, like you said, I'm not going to do this in my daily life or when I pick up the grocery bag and my child and my bike and all this. And like you said, I have hurt myself so many times badly in daily life when I picked up a bike to move it and I was just like doing a wrong move and I couldn't move for 2 weeks. I have never hurt myself in a professional gym setting ever.
No.
I've always done this in my daily life when I don't pay attention to it.
Or it's when you put the weights away.
Yeah.
I was going to say, have you ever dropped a dumbbell?
Like, I'm just going to move it. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But the good thing about the body is when we do train in the good way in the gym, and for example, we do a 50-kilo squat. If we then do a 10-kilo squat in the wrong way, if you can say wrong, then your body is even then prepared for it because it's strong enough to do the wrong way.
Yeah.
If it makes any sense.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your group classes, for example, when we talk about, especially the first trimester, when we're looking at exercise, what precautions are made when you're actually doing these classes specifically?
Well, the precautions for the first trimester are not that much, as again, there is a lot of changing happening in the body, but it's mostly on tiredness and how the woman specifically feels, but she can physically still do a lot of the movements. All the movements, again, are based on upper body strength, rotational strength, core strength, and of course we do legs as well, but mainly focused on glutes. And the precautions for the first trimester are not that big because you can still move around wide as you used to.
But it'll be in your head where you're like, I can't do this. Where it's in the own women's, because I remember having that when I was in my first trimester, where I used to get on the elliptical and I didn't move anywhere near as ferociously as I used to. And it got to the stage where I was just really like a mouse on a treadmill, just very slowly, kind of just, I didn't know, a bit anxious about it.
You can still get your heart rate up, but just see around 70-80%. So you are, in any case, safe. Again, if you are used 3 to 4 times doing HIIT training, are really, really, really fit, you probably can do a lot more, but you are never sure. And what you don't want is blaming yourself. If everything, God forbid, goes wrong, you cannot work out and damage your baby. So it will not fall off as like sometimes you hear like, oh, I did a training and now that's the reason why it went wrong. No, that's just genetics. That's pure bad luck. It's really, really emotional and really heavy, but it's never your fault. So you cannot make anything happen to your baby if you work out. You do want to prevent the overheating just to be safe, just to make sure, because there are researchers that say that it can maybe have an effect on. So every maybe you just want to pass. So
Absolutely.
If you do a HIIT training, just make sure you can still speak. And maybe just for the first trimester, just pass that on and just say like, I'm going to do a bicycle training just on an easy tempo and do walking and do strength training and focus on that. And then after the first trimester, when you get your strength a little bit back and you can get more sleep and you get more in the happy zone for most women, then try to see if you can get back to those types of training.
It's so good to hear this from you, because there's, like you said, there's so much fear about these first 12, 14 weeks. And so many women feel like the only thing they're allowed to do is sit in a chair and lie in a bed, and we're not allowed to do this, we're not allowed to do that, and this can harm the baby, and this can harm the baby, and we just get into this stress mode, and then we're stressing so much, and then this in the end causes more damage than us going to the gym. So it's so good. That's why we're so happy to have you on, that really you encourage to don't be fearful. Speak to someone you're working out with, see these little adjustments, but listen to your body, listen to yourself. I'm so thankful that we have you on, because I know there's so much fear, and there's so many women who think they have to shut everything down and do the minimal to not do anything and not to harm anything or open any window of possibility to anything. So I'm very glad we hear this now, that no, it's fine. There's a little adjustments, but you can still live your life.
Yes. And miscarriage is, again, never your problem. You cannot prevent it. You cannot work out your way to it. So that's not the case. There is no evidence whatsoever that working out, even the HIIT training, etc., are causing miscarriage. There's none. So even if you are, for example, finding out you're pregnant in week 14 and you've been HIIT training and doing whatever, that's still not your fault.
We'll put this on repeat for everyone. Like, it's not your fault. It's because you can just not say this enough.
It's such an emotional and such a fragile thing for women to experience that. And it's so, even if it's in week 2, if you are, sometimes it's like, oh, but you were in week 2. No, it's really, really important for women to know that it's a really emotional state. And also after, maybe we're jumping ahead, but if you have had a miscarriage, I'm really sorry for you, but you could still do a workout after, and don't let anybody tell you, like, there are even programs. It's insane. There are programs you can buy on the internet with women who are like a miscarriage workout, like you need to do anything special after a miscarriage. That's just making money out of women
fear,
who are really, really, really fragile. And the same with working out while you're pregnant. So you can do almost everything, but just adjust those few things. Focus on upper body strength, focus on breathing, focus on core strength, but then not putting too much pressure on the abdominal wall. So find somebody who knows about this stuff. And even if you just do like personal training for 1 or 2 sessions for somebody to just let you know, like, hey, this and this and this you can focus on, or do a group class focused on mommies.
Can I have just one more question? Basically, I just want to know the difference between, I mean, it's pretty evident, but I just want to hear you basically explain it, is the difference between like a personal trainer is a personal trainer, but a personal trainer who has the experience with pregnant women.
Yeah, well, I know there are a lot of personal trainers who say I also do pregnancies because they either did maybe a course for one day, or they did have, if they are men, have a wife or a girlfriend who had a baby, so they know everything to do. And you can imagine you have so much on like the female body you have to know, all the changes that the body is going through, but also taking in consideration there's another body inside that body needing a lot of adjustment. But the most important part is that I've learned so much about my own body, about my pelvic floor, about my diaphragm, about my abdominal wall, about diastasis, about prolapse, about C-section, no, you name it, and all those muscles working together and how they work and what the changes are and what you have to take in consideration. And your linea alba, that's the midline. Some women get the black line on their belly. That's where the linea alba is, and that stretches out when you get a baby. That happens to everybody. But for example, I used to think that your abs would separate because everybody said, oh, are they grown back together? They will never separate. The linea alba gets wider, but they never separate, because if they separate, you cannot stand up because they're stuck, So that are things that, and I see personal trainers working with pregnant women doing certain kind of exercise where I'm like, not do that, like jumping or running or or avoiding core strength or core exercises, which are just really important to do when you're pregnant, only with bits and butts and so the main difference is that if somebody really is trained on pre and postnatal, they will have at least one course they followed. But especially, like I said, for me, it's now my 5th study I do for almost half a year or a year training. So and the more I know, the more I am aware of how less I know.
Exactly.
I was just gonna say, is there do we ask then trainers, even if they say, oh I work with pregnancy, you can say, well, can you tell me which
did you follow?
And is there anyone specifically that you're saying this is really important that they've followed? Or
no, not really, but I have some colleagues who also do training, like Romana van Sterker, training for mamas, but you also have Sarah Duval, that Girls Gone Strong. She make that course as well. Feel Good Moms, she's in Den Haag. Those are trainers, but also education that's needed. But just ask somebody what did you do? Also, when they're just, if you're not pregnant and you go to a personal trainer, always ask hey, what's your education or what courses did you do? Most of the trainers, if they had some education, they will show on their internet or on their website, because you're proud of your education certificates. But really, you can ask. If you go to a doctor, you will know that they have education in being. I cannot wake up and be a doctor, but you, anybody who listens, or you can just wake up tomorrow and say, hey, I'm going to train pregnant women. And without anything you've learned, even if you're not a personal trainer, you can just wake up and say, I'm a personal trainer now. It's not like if you are a doctor or if you are a physiotherapist, you need to have evidence. You cannot say you're a physical therapist if you didn't do the study, but you can if you're a personal trainer. That's insane. But it's what it is. So you as a client can always ask.
No, that's good to know, because that was just something that sometimes I feel like there's a lot of people asking for recommendations out there, and you can see it on the WhatsApp and the Facebook groups, hey, I'm pregnant or postpartum, can anyone recommend specific? And for us, for example, the international community in Amsterdam, we really heavily rely on each other to recommend, because either it's in Dutch or we don't understand it, so we are kind of a bit stuck. So it's through trial and process that we all kind of go, I went here, it didn't work out, or I went here and it was amazing.
I can, of course, give a list of recommendations of things I know in Amsterdam that, for example, the workout studio where I also work, has group trainings for pregnant women. They also have a 6 weeks 10 weeks program, which you can start when you're pregnant. So you just have a little group where you work with, you work out and you get webinars. Like, for example, a physiotherapist, a pelvic floor physiotherapist comes and tells some stuff. A yoga teacher comes and gives you a yoga lesson. You work out 10 weeks with a specific group. So afterwards, they always baby bottle, as we call it. So after all the babies are born, they get together. So it's basically your pregnancy group, but you work out together as well. And you get some knowledge on how to adjust your workout. So that's something really nice to do. There are a few trainers as well in Amsterdam that do personal training, just like I do. So yeah, there are some good trainings to go to.
Okay.
Great.
Well, that was, I mean, it was short and sweet because I think, I mean, I'm actually a little shocked to hear like, oh yeah, you can just do everything, because I certainly did not feel that way. So it's actually quite comforting to know that. But I think it's probably a value. I think it's actually worthwhile the investment than just getting someone just to help you really get into that. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, that's also because it's not holding you back. It's somebody who could say like, hey, you can do this stuff. Like I said, everybody's different. So maybe it's not for everybody, especially for me. Like in the beginning, I would not even think about doing everything I used to because I was so tired. So I just wanted to move around, just get a kettlebell and do some squats and do some push-ups and just call it a day. So that's probably what most women would want to do. But yeah, in those first weeks, you can almost do everything. Almost.
And if you're feeling sick, I think that's an amazing note. Like just move, because it can actually help you. I think that's I don't think anyone knew that probably. That's quite a good point. That's quite a good insight. So
yeah, just move, go for a little walk, just do some mobilization exercises and just relax in the movement, do some squats. And then see how you feel. And sometimes you would start a workout and you're like, nope, not today.
I've said that many times.
Yeah, but then, you just stop. And like I said, going for a walk is really nice in those first few weeks.
Nice. Okay.
Well, perfect.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, you're very welcome.
I guess for anyone listening, I mean, you can find Rianne on SheCoaching. She's on Instagram and she is found on Albert Kuip, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm doing PT at Gym Base in Overtoom.
Okay.
And I do group classes at the Albert Kuip.
There you go.
The workout studio.
Yeah, that's where, because I actually sourced you from recommendations from other moms. And that's why I started researching you guys, because there was 2 other ladies and doing the mom group with you. And cool. Because of your SheCoaching and because of your past, it was like, hey, this would be a good fit. You know your stuff, right?
Yeah, I know my stuff.
Super. Well, thank you so much for being on with Damn Parenting Podcast. And
very glad.
Thank you so much for also helping all the moms out there. I wish I knew about you when I was pregnant 4 years ago. So for anyone out there, you'll be able to find her on Instagram. And from us, we'll say thank you. And
very welcome.
Talk to you again sometime.
Yes.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Well, those 2 interviews actually, as much as they're different, they shared the same connection, as it were, with, look, if you don't do either of us, the same time they both said, if you're not going to be able to do anything, breathe and walk.
Move. Yeah. They both had the same bottom line.
Yeah. That's pretty good to know, because that's exactly what I did. I breathed and I walked. So that's how
everyone who's feeling guilty of not, I'm putting this in quotations, exercising correctly, breathing and walking is already exercising and is totally sufficient and enough.
So I mean, that to me, that's already like, that's all I was happy with hearing in first trimester. It's kind of like, all you have to do is breathe and walk. And I'm like, done, tick, great, I'm happy. But I really was actually not shocked, but I was just very much surprised with Kasia, like with yoga, because every time you think of, oh, you're pregnant, what do you do? Oh, I'm doing pregnancy yoga. And to now know, actually don't until you're 14 weeks is wow, like
so interesting, right? It was so interesting. I had no idea. I thought, what can go wrong with yoga, right? What can possibly go wrong? Nothing, right?
But it's and then with Rianne, like saying, like, obviously tell your trainer, but you're able to I mean, you still do your workouts because she's doing the research, and she, like, the interesting thing she said was your skin is relaxing. It's nothing to do with your muscles. That I was surprised about, because all I remember was I had no grip. I had no, like, I was just, my body was different back then. Yeah. So wherever you guys are coming from, if you are into the Pilates or the yoga, or if you are into the gym doing the HIIT training or group therapy, I was about to say, but the group trainings. Yeah, whatever you're into. I mean, hopefully this has given you a bit of the support and, you know, you're feeling confident to go back to yoga, or not yoga, but go back to feeling the shavasana of yoga. So you can just lie there and just say, I am doing my pregnancy yoga, and, you know, don't come and question me. This is what I was told to do.
Exactly.
Or if you want to go and do the gym, you know, go do the gym, because at the end of the day, everybody is unique. You got to know and listen to your body.
Keep moving and breathing.
So with that, Kasia, as we said, Kasia, you'll be able to find at Mamamoon, and Rianne is at SheCoaching. Everything will be in the show notes. You'll be able to contact them if you want to find out any more information. But from us,
And
that's
we'll hear
it for
you
this one.
And the next episode.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.